Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Maxine. I have Avoidant Personality Disorder and ADHD, and I'm finally back after quite a time. I was never planning on being gone this long. The last video that I posted was the morning of my coronectomy, and I did say that, that might take me a while to heal from. But it was actually going very well, and after about day 5, the swelling had gone down and I was feeling much better, and I was planning on coming back. And then that morning, a week ago today, on Monday, I came down with a horrible stomach virus and was too ill to do anything. And after a few days of that, then my partner got sick and he was home and very ill. And it's just been one of those weeks. So I ended up taking a little bit more time off than I wanted to, but that's just how it goes. So we're back now. And today I want to talk about something that I've been aware of in myself for a long time, honestly, for probably longer than I've even been aware of the avoidant personality disorder. But again, it's kind of one of those more abstract sort of concepts that I'm like trying to package neatly into this spoken video. So hopefully I'm able to do that fairly concisely, but it might be a little bit all over the place and a little bit rambly. But I want to talk about this concept where it seems like many of us, not just with AVPD, but with mental illness in general, and I think more specifically anxiety, the anxiety spectrum, this thing where although we are dissatisfied and unhappy in our lives and miserable and depressed, and like all we want is to be somebody else that is happier. Although that is true, it's almost like when good things do happen, when we are feeling better, when whether we've made changes or just our circumstances have changed in a better direction, we almost reject that and sort of retreat back into our misery. And I see this happen a lot. It's a very prevalent pattern in my life. And I think if you're not aware of why this is happening, then you might just think that you're incapable of ever being happy. So I think hopefully somebody finds some value in me talking about this, even though, again, it's going to be hard for me to like figure out how to say what I want to say. I don't have notes for this video. I'm just sitting down and talking about it off the top of my head. But, for me and for others that I've noticed, there is this sense of like, no matter how bad your situation is or how dissatisfied you are, some of us are just not receptive to advice or of making changes. We just sort of, and like from the outside, it looks like we just want to be miserable. Like we just want to stew. And I feel that way sometimes. And I'm like, why is that? Like, if I know there are steps that I can take to feel better, why am I refusing to act on those? Or if things are feeling better, why does that make me want to sit in my bed and watch sad movies and like choose my misery over feeling better. And I think there are a couple of things that go into this, but I think the key factor is the less obvious one. So the more obvious kind of factor to this is that in order to make like a lasting, sustainable, measurable, positive change in your life, to actually like live a better life opposed to just feeling better for a short term period, it requires a sustained practice of kind of putting yourself out there, taking these risks, and like actively working towards it, right? So a lot of us, when we're depressed, we can't imagine working that hard for like a long time to actually, like, we don't have that in us to, like, I'll just use AVPD as an example since that's my life. We're doing the 30-day or however many day, the January challenge, which mine has been so totally derailed by this illness and everything. I'm feeling quite discouraged about that myself. But it's like, even if you were to do it every single day for 30 days, go out of your way to do something that scares you, that makes you nervous, that is not going to be enough to cure your AVPD, right? And 30 days of doing that for someone who has spent years of their life protecting themselves is going to feel like such an immense amount of work that it's like, if you do that, if you accomplish that, something that feels impossible at the beginning, and then you get to the end of the 30 days and you're still not better and you still have to keep working and you still have to keep pushing yourself, it's hard not to get discouraged by that. It's hard not to feel like you're never going to get to that point that you want to get to. And so, of course, in that way, we're going to be easily discouraged, and that's going to make it hard for us to continue to pursue being happier for as long as it takes to achieve it. Especially when you consider the fact that life is kind of a continuous up and down. You can't actually sustain any level of happiness or fulfillment kind of forever. It's always going to be ebbing and flowing. But I think something for me that might, the other factor that I think might get overlooked is the one that I feel like rings most true for me, which is the fact that anxiety specifically, anyone on the anxiety spectrum, we have a thing with control. Even if you don't feel like you do, right? If you're a constant worrier, then that is kind of automatically your brain trying to best control as much of what's going on around you as it can. And I think for me, although I want to be happy and I enjoy it when I'm in a period of my life that feels happier, there is a huge sense of risk involved with having a better mood. If I am able to be in control of my negative emotions by choosing those negative emotions, then that is consistent. It is like, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's predictable, okay? if you're happy, like I said, you can't sustain a certain level of happiness forever. There are always going to be things that are out of your control, and like bad things are going to happen that are going to affect the way that you feel. And so if you're happy and then something bad happens that makes you sad, then you're not in control of that situation, and that can come out of nowhere. That can be very distressing, and like potentially traumatizing. But if we are keeping ourselves in a miserable place, then at least we have that control over that, and it's predictable. We know, and we can like pre-accept those circumstances so that at least we're not caught off guard by those feelings. Because I think for a lot of us, again, with anxiety, there's almost nothing worse than being blindsided by something distressing or traumatic. That's like our whole thing, our whole thought process is trying to protect us from that happening. So kind of the most reliable way for us to keep that from happening is to just be miserable already. And that way we're expecting these bad things to happen. We're ready for these bad things to happen. And like, how much worse can we feel if we already feel awful all the time? So I don't know. I don't know if this, maybe everybody is already aware of this, but I think for anyone who isn't, if you're questioning like, why does it feel like I want to be miserable? It's because that, in a way, is safer for you than to be out pursuing happiness, pursuing satisfaction, and to have somebody else or some other circumstance take that from you when you're not expecting it. If we're already miserable, if we've already counted ourselves out, if we've already decided nothing's going to work out for us, if we've already decided we're never going to be happy, then at least we know and we did that. And that feels safer and more stable to us, right? It makes sense when I say it like that. But then also, if you really think about it, like, it's stupid, right? It's stupid to live like that. So, I don't know, if you hadn't thought about it that way, if this is another change of perspective that I can offer you that helps you to realize kind of what your brain is trying to do, again, to protect you. That's what this is all about. All of these maladaptive traits that we have are our brain trying to protect us from negative feelings, experiences, traumas that we've had in the past. But it's no way to live. I almost feel like the root of that self-fulfilling prophecy. If I've decided that I've failed, then nobody else can decide for me. So, yeah, I just wanted to talk about that today because I think a lot of us, at least in the Discord lately, have been feeling like, we take one step forward and 2 steps back. That's kind of how I felt my entire life. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And it's like, it's exhausting and it's frustrating that we want to get better, but then that's scary. We want to get better, but then that feels too risky, too vulnerable. We're kind of trying and then we're not trying at all. But it's just another defense mechanism. That's all that it is. It's just another defense mechanism, always. So, okay, so that's that's it for this video. I hope that made sense. Thank you for watching. I'm super, super glad and excited to be back. Please check out the Etsy and Discord links below if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.